Is the world's most dominant PC gaming platform about to meet its match? For years, companies have tried and failed to dethrone Steam. They've thrown billions at it, but nothing has stuck. But this time, the challenger isn't an obvious rival like Epic Games or EA. It's ByteDance, the $330 billion parent company that ran TikTok and their new upcoming platform called GameTop. This video isn't a funeral for Steam, and it's not a crowning for GameTop. It's a look at the next competition we'll see for gaming, one powered by social virality, AI, and a Chinese tech giant with a track record of market takeover. If you want the neutral breakdown on what this means for you, the gamer, this is it. Before we start, to truly grasp the threat of GameTop, you have to understand the Steam Citadel. It's not just a store where you buy games. It's a social network with your friends list, and most importantly, a library of decades worth of games. Any competitor that wants to go against Steam faces the ultimate hurdle, the sunk cost fallacy. Why would you ever move your entire gaming life, all those hundreds of games and hours you spent, to another launcher? Which we can already see right now with things like the Xbox PC Store, which now lets you use your Steam library on their platform, but has failed to actually get people to swap over, as anyone would still just use Steam. But GameTop doesn't seem to just be a random pet project. It's a cold, calculated pivot by ByteDance. Their own gaming division, Nuverse, recently went through a major restructure. They basically decided to stop betting on expensive, high-budget games that might fail, and instead focus on being the most efficient publisher and distributor they can be. So GameTop is the idea behind this entire new strategy, specifically built to challenge the West and target those lucrative overseas markets, as we see with Steam making billions of dollars every year. Now, it is important to understand that while Steam has a partnered censored Chinese version managed by Perfect World, GameTop is ByteDance's own platform being built from the ground up for a global audience outside of mainland China. The thing is, we've seen this before, with tons of top gaming companies trying to compete with Steam, where they would eventually just fall short. A popular example is Epic Games, as they tried to buy their way in by paying millions for temporary exclusive games. It worked for a while, but it didn't fundamentally change user habits. But this is where GameTop seems to be following a completely different blueprint. Their strategy is to blend social media with a gaming platform so seamlessly that it's impossible to tell where the social media aspect ends and the store begins. This will be the actual difference maker with this platform. ByteDance is not building a separate social feature, they are importing their TikTok creator DNA to game distribution. Where Steam's community feels a bit like it's a separate bolted-on form, GameTop's will be baked into the core of the product. This is based on job postings that emphasize an integrated social space for communities and a path for developers seeking social discoverability and user-generated content amplifications. So rather than a traditional curated store, it would be personalized, instant, and most importantly, driven by viral content. A fundamental challenge to the way every game store that has tried to compete with Steam handles discovery. It's also reported that they are going to be adding AI-assisted creation tools, and it's a bid to win over the next generation of developers and modders. Sources state this is highlighted as a key difference with other platforms, as ByteDance's internal teams are experimenting with AI and generative tech to enhance gameplay and creator tools. So even though there is some distaste towards AI, it is hitting gaming fast and hard, with many top studios and developers now using it, with 20% of all new Steam games disclosing it. And GameTop doesn't just want to sell you games, they want you to create games and content on their platform. So GameTop is aiming to lower the barrier by potentially using generative AI for building assets like models or maps with simple prompts. This strategic push essentially positions GameTop to attract Gen Z creators who are used to quick, accessible content creation, similar to how CapCut works hand in hand with TikTok and makes it very easy for anyone who doesn't even know editing can edit a video. So imagine something a little bit similar, but for gaming. And you already know that ByteDance will be importing TikTok's legendary data-driven, hyper-personalized engagement loops. The user operation teams for GameTop are responsible for driving user growth, activation, retention, and re-engagement. This is done not just through sales, but through sophisticated systems designed to maximize time on the platform. Think of it like how a casino is designed to make you stay longer, similar to how many people say TikTok is addictive, and that's because it was made and designed that way. And the same thing will be happening with GameTop. Job postings for GameTop explicitly call for the introduction of player segmentation, level systems, rewards, and badges to boost user activity, which is similar to what we already see on Steam. And while GameTop will be entering the market at a very interesting time, as the global perception of Chinese gaming is shifting. The massive high-quality single-player successes of titles like Black Myth Wukong proves that Chinese studios are creating global hits by delivering on what gamers want, which is something that seems to have been lacking by Western studios in recent years. So GameTop, if they position themselves correctly, could become the default home for this rising wave of high-quality Asian developed titles, giving it an initial customer base away from Steam, especially as China is just so huge. We also can't forget TikTok. ByteDance took a fragmented social media market like Vine and completely dominated it with a superior algorithm and a platform that was simply smarter at retention and virality. First to market isn't the same as best to market if they replicate the TikTok loop, but for PC gaming, Steam's legacy advantage could weaken over time. Here are the reasons why this could all fail. Even with billions and free games, Epic just couldn't match the large Steam libraries that people have built up for years. And gamers have grown to hate on fragmentation. Getting a user to manage yet another launcher will be the biggest headache. Steam has been around for over 20 years, which has racked them up a massive user base and has decades of essential expected features with constant new updates, seamless cloud saves, a massive modding workshop, and perfect controller support. GameTop must launch with everything working perfectly just to compete on a basic level. They can't afford to play catch-up, which we have seen with every other company that tried to compete with Steam. They were always just so far behind, there's never been a point to switch off the platform. And also, given ByteDance's Chinese origins, concerns over data privacy and potential political influence will be a big deal for many. Just like we have seen with the fight over TikTok for the past few years, and wanting it to have a different owner. This is a massive trust issue that goes beyond just video games. So will GameTop be the Steam killer? And for now, it doesn't seem like it, but it also seems to be the most strategically unique challenger we have ever seen. If they actually follow through with what they're planning, it has a strong chance to be a tough competitor in this space. Past competitors only targeted Steam's wallet by offering lower revenue cuts to developers, which is great for them, but most gamers will never care about that. GameTop wants to target Steam's core strengths, its community, and its content discovery. The thing is, this competition is actually fantastic news for you, because it forces Valve to continue to innovate on its core features, not just rely on sales. This is what we have been seeing recently with Steam's constant flow of updates, and this will only add to it. All competition is good, as it will force each other to make a better product. Right now, there is no set launch date for GameTop, but we do know that it is in the works, so stay tuned to hear more about the upcoming gaming platform by ByteDance.